In this video, we're going to learn how to add text to our screen. So the first thing that you need to do is go ahead and find your folder for My First App, your template folder, and we're going to copy that and paste it. And then we're going to go ahead and rename it. And because we're doing a text play, we're going to call it text. Go ahead and open up text, and then open up My First App, and then just wait a second while it opens up. On the left hand side, click the arrow or the plus sign, whichever your screen happens to have. Same thing for source files. Double click on app.cpp. Check that you have a nice clean file, which you should have because you are using your template folder. It should have the #include DragonFire SDK to tell it to use the DragonFire SDK, void app main with 2 curly brackets, void app exit with 2 curly brackets, void on timer with 2 curly brackets. In this app, we are simply going to put the words "Hello World" on our screen. It's a very typical first app. The first thing we need to define are 2 variables. So we're going to introduce the variable called font type. We're going to use that variable to deal with adding the font that we want to use, storing it in memory. And then we're going to introduce the variable called text, which will be the text that we want to display on the screen. So we put that at the top, just below include. And then we're going to go into app main, because app main is where we put all the information that we want to call up within our app. So the first code that we're going to use is font add. We need to add the font into memory. So we want that assigned, all that information, into the variable font type. So we type font type is equal to. So that stores everything that we type now into the variable font type. We're going to use a new instruction, those are called APIs, called font add. So adding the font into memory, bracket, just a regular round bracket, quotation mark, that's important, Arial, quotation mark, comma. Now that's like selecting your font type when you're typing in Microsoft Word or any of those other programs. You do have some other choices. You could also use Courier, Georgia, Helvetica, Times, Trebuchet, not sure if I pronounced that right, or Verdana. But we're going to use Arial this time. Then we want to indicate if we've got plain text, bold text, italic text, or bold italic. So let's just go with plain text. We'll call it regular, which is the proper name for it. So quotation mark, regular. Notice that the R in regular and the A in Arial have a capital on it, comma. Then we need to indicate the font size. And you'll notice that as I'm typing, there's a gray box showing up below what I'm typing to indicate what information you need to be typing in right now. And int points indicates the size. Points is the size of the font. And then after that, we'll be indicating the color. Alright, so let's say we want font size 20. No quotation marks around that. Now we're on to the color. What color would we like our text to show up in? Well, we don't just say red, blue, green. We have to use something called hexadecimal code. Now, the easiest way to do this is to go onto the internet and type in a search for hexadecimal code. Now, I've included on my blog a link to one website that has a variety of different choices. So this is the website that I've linked to. So you can see red is FF0000, and those are zeros, not capital O's. Cyan, blue, dark blue, and then you can just scroll down, and then they've got grays there, and then you keep scrolling down, and you can see all of the different color choices. There's a lot of different options to get exactly the color that you want to. And they've also got an HTML color picker. Now, the thing you have to be careful about hexadecimal color codes is that right here it has a pound symbol, because that's dealing with HTML. That's dealing with websites. The only thing you have to remember is to get rid of that pound symbol, and you're going to replace it with something else. So when we come back to our app code, we want to add the code for the color we want to use. Now on the website it was pound and then 6 characters. It's always 6 characters, but some websites include the pound symbol and some websites don't include the pound symbol. But the thing to remember is that when you're dealing with an iPad or an iPhone app, you don't want the pound symbol and you don't just want the 6 characters. You need to include 0x. And then you can plug in your 6 character code. FF0000 bracket and then semicolon. So now I've told the computer to store the font type as the variable font type. It's going to use Arial. It'll be regular, not bold or italic. It'll be font size 20. And I'm going to leave the color code as a surprise for when it comes up. But if you were paying attention on the other screen, you would have seen it. Alright, so now what we want to do is tell the app what to actually write on the screen. So the first thing we do is write down text equals. Remember we introduced the variable called text. So we want whatever comes next to be stored inside the variable text. We're going to use a new code called text add, which adds text to the screen. Bracket, that's a round bracket, 100, 200, and that tells the app to locate the text at the x-coordinate of 100 and the y-coordinate of 200. Then we want to tell the app what to say, what to write on the screen. So we have to write down a quotation mark, and we'll say hello world, quotation mark, comma, and then we have to tell the app what font to use. Well, we've already stored the font style that we want to use inside the variable font type. We want it to be Arial regular 20 and the color code FF0000. So here we'll just write down font type and then end bracket and semicolon. Alright, so now we're going to press F5 in order to run our app. At the bottom of the screen you can see it's running through some output here. And you don't need to worry about it too much. There we go. Our app has come up on the screen as Hello World. It doesn't do anything else. It's just a very basic app. But that's how you can go ahead and add text to your screen. And you can just play with your coordinates to locate it in a different spot. You can play with your color code to have the different colors show up. You can change your font type and style and whatnot. And you can also include multiple fonts on the screen, just declare them separately. So go ahead, have some fun with adding some text to the screen, and we will see you in the next video.